In my last video, I mentioned to you that towards the end of 1992, I decided to establish DXN. It was not easy because I still lack a lot of preparations to establish the company. First, the fund was not sufficient. With 70,000 ringgit to establish the farm, factory and M&M company, no one believed that it could be done. Most of my money was due to establish a mushroom farm. Luckily, I'm using the eco-farming approach. I acclimatized the Ganoderma to adapt to the environment, so that I need not spend a lot of money to modify the shade to suit to the Ganoderma. Eco-farming is a minimalist approach. I let the Ganoderma grow in the natural environment with minimal interference from me. Only the strongest and the most effective Ganoderma will survive. Luckily at that time, health food was not yet under strong legislation. I was able to put up a simple factory. The most expensive instrument was the special grinding machine to do the nano grinding. And I brought one simple manual capsule machine to produce the capsule. After I established the farm and small factory, even though the scale was minimal in nature, I did not have much money left for the setting up of the office. One of my friends has rented the first floor of one shop lot for a music center. He rented out 1/3 of the space to me. The rental is 87 ringgit per month. That time DXN only have one product, RGN, GL and nothing else. So just one small cabinet was enough for me to put some stocks. A table, one computer with one Epson dot printer, a few chairs for the guests. The first office of DXN was established. The only staff was a young lady clerk with the salary of 250 ringgit per month. Me and my wife were still working. As there was no sales at the moment, I need the salary to sustain the business. I think I have broken a few records in the M&M history. This is the smallest M&M company in the world, with only one product, one clerk, one table, one cabinet, one computer. Oh, finally we mobilized and started DXN. As I continued to work in Mada, so basically DXN at the time was a part-time M&M company. Add to the smallest size, people in Alostar give it a nickname, Syarikat Gila. It means crazy company in Malay language. In many ways, DXN looked crazy for sure. The only M&M company operated with only one staff in the office, one product to sell, one table and one computer as a counter and office desk. But we have something that eventually beat all other M&M companies. That was the Ekanaga process, the one dragon company. This is the Oriental dragon with a long body, meant from raw material production, manufacturing to marketing, all are under one roof. Even all were in minimum scale, we were an Ekanaga company from the first day DXN was born. Ekanaga are two Sanskrit words, mean one dragon. DXN was the only company that using Sanskrit for the company motto. We have three Eka, the three one in the beginning, Ekanaga, Eka Pasar and Eka Minda. Pasar is the Malay equivalent of bazaar, mean market. Minda is mind. So that DXN is a one dragon, one market and one mind company. From the very first day it was born. The people in Alostar almost laughed to death when they heard the one world, one market from DXN, which in Malay we call it Satu Dunia, Satu Pasaran. Many thought that I have lost my sense and become lunatic. DXN do not even acquire any members in the nearby city, and yet talking about link all markets in the world together as a single market, that you can sponsor the people in other country as you sponsor your neighbor. In front of DXN office is the Youth Sport Club in Kedah. The rental for the meeting hall was cheap, only 30 ringgit per night. So I rented the small meeting hall to start the first meeting of DXN. I called and invited as many people as I could, more than 100 of them. And I spent a lot of effort, to prepare for the first meeting. My brother-in-law is running a photo shop for taking wedding photo. I borrowed video camera from him and took some video on DXN Ganoderma. Record the various growing stages of Ganoderma and my experiment on the chicken and etc. And I took some slides too, developed them in the Photoshop of my brother-in-law and borrowed his slide presenter to cast the slide on the white wall. At evening, about 12 people came for the meeting. All of them were my friends. Especially one of them was doing well in one company. I have a high hope for him to join me. I did not have enough money to do some printing. At the time, printing was costly, and they were always minimum quantity for the first printing. I think maybe I should save money on that. So many of the printed material that I can provide were all photostated. I went to the best photostat shop in the town and made the best copies to my best effort. That time the video was recorded in a bulky cassette. CD were in its infancy and very costly to burn it. And thumb drive was basically non-existent for the computer at the time. So I prepared about 20 cassettes of video. I'm thinking maybe my material was photostated, but I could give them real video. No Geronima company ever documented how they experiment on Geronima. But in my video, I'm showing them how the experiments are carried out. I also prepare some coffee and snacks, try to make my guests comfortable. Finally, the meeting started. How I come to know Geronima from the villager, on my way to supervise the Pudu Dam, how I go into the forest to forage for Geronima. They were not impressed. To them, only Aborigine goes into the forest to forage. One of them even asked me, Lim, you are the engineer, and you can get Geronima easily from China and Taiwan. Why go to the forest hunting for it like Orang Asri, the Aborigine? What they mean was that, look, you are a well-educated engineer, and you can get the product easily from the third party. You should wear smart and present yourself nicely. Once you go into the forest and forage like an Aborigine. I told them my stories of going to the forest, experiments on chicken will be great stories for them. I have made a huge mistake. They do not have good thinking about forests. Rest about the chicken, which is supposed to eat them, no? Not enjoying seeing them fly like a phoenix and spend the night on top of the tree like an eagle. They did not come for the meeting to listen to my Geronima story. They came out of curiosity. Why I'm working as a senior engineer in the government? With such a secure job and easy life, why should I go to the forest and deal with the chicken? They did not know the job of an engineer was not easy for me. And I love wilderness and forest. On one occasion, I did follow my father, went into forest looking for some herbs that remain sweet memory to me to this day. But my romantic feeling about the forest was not shared by them. They felt that my parents had spent so much money and effort to educate me. Finally, I have become an engineer and working in a government job, and they call the government job a steel bowl. Meaning the job is always secured. You will not get fired. This was the dream of many families, to let his son or daughter to work for the government. And now that Lim will leave his job and go foraging in the forest and give them photostated materials and having meeting in cheap spot community center. All company are having meeting in good-looking hotel. None of them will come to cheap community center, rent a cheap hall, and try to convince people that they are good company for them to join. I showed the video to them, present the slide to them, and when I come to the marketing slide, I told them DXN I'll go for one world, one market. They burst into laughter. One of them asked me, what is the nearest town to Alostar? That was a funny question. Everyone know it is Simpang Apat. That means the crossroad as two roads intersect through that town. A small but beautiful town, about 8 kilometers away. I asked him why. He asked further, how many members do you have in that town? I answered none. They burst into laughter again. I don't even have a single member from the nearest town. And I talked about going worldwide for the so-called one world, one market. At first, I thought the one world, one market was such a beautiful phrase that I could coin it, link the whole world together, sponsor the foreigner, just like you sponsor your neighbor. The forest and the chicken already too much for them. Then come the one world, one market concept again. That was a huge joke for them. Half of them went to toilet halfway, never come back. They did not even wait till the coffee break. After the coffee break, all of them excused and went home. I'm supposed to tell them the marketing plan after the coffee break. None of them were interested. They came because they wanted to listen to me why from a secure job as an engineer, I want to involve myself in agriculture and plant mushroom. To them, an engineer is prestigious, and to be a farmer, downgrading myself. They also asked another question. In Alostar itself, is there any big international company? There was none. Alostar is just a border town, close to Thailand. Once the young people chasing the dream in bigger town, they never come back. The problem with Alostar is its small size and stagnant growth. Before I went to study in India, the population is 200,000. After I graduated and come home, the population was 200,000. The time when I established DXN, the population was still 200,000 today. When I am talking to you, the population remains 200,000. It is a stagnant town. All young people do not see any hope in this border city. Once they say goodbye, they never come back, except visiting their parents. And from a city like this, you want to go to one world, one market? The meeting went very wrong and was a catastrophe. Not only they did not join DXN, word started to circulate in Alostar that one engineer in Mada has turned lunatic. Go into the forest like the tribal people, giving photostated material to convince people to join his company, meeting in a cheap community center and talk about establishing a world market for his products and telling people his chicken were as beautiful as the phoenix. The time I joined a classical musical group, one of the attendees was from the choir in the same organization, considered close to me, and she was active in MLM, which I hope for the best. She could join DXN and help me to promote the market. But later one of his friends told me that man told him I have turned lunatic, giving him the cassette about the chicken, talking about the world market without a single member, dreaming big with only one clerk in his office. What made me sad is what his comment on my materials he told his friend. If not because Lim is my good friend, I would have dumped them into the dustbin. I spent so much time and effort to prepare the video. This gave me a good lesson. This kind of hand up will not help to promote your company. Later, I threw away all the videos and all the slides, went to the stage with two empty hands and talked. That habit remained to this day. The time the famous leader in MLM, people nicknamed them MLM Eagle. There were a few eagle around in Alostar. Then I decided to try my luck on one eagle. He was a successful distributor to one MLM company, even has his own office, many times the size of the DXN office then, and employ a few staff. When I reached his office, his staff told me he was in meeting, so I need to wait for him. I waited and waited for more than 2 hours. Finally, I saw someone out of his office. It was his father. The so-called meeting was actually chit-chat with his father. When I went into his office, I saw him wearing a neat coat and comb his hair very well, and he gave me a serious and non-smiling face. Immediately, I sensed something was wrong. Before I even had a chance to talk anything to him, he started to attack the accent. He told me his office was much bigger than my office. He has more staff than me. And he reminded me, in the industry of MLM, you have to keep your image well, must put on the best clothes and comb your hair neatly. Not like me, famous for wearing casual wear and having a hair not combing, like the Einstein. Then he leaned forward and looked at me fiercely in order to stress his word. Then even in his situation, he dare not even thinking of establishing an MM company. And who are you, start with such a shabby office and dare to call it an MLM company? Immediately I sensed such a character was not suitable for DXN. With such a negative attitude, it would be a negative liability instead of an asset for DXN. I am not coming here to listen to his lecture of how to wear smart and comb your hair neatly, so I excused myself and left. This took him by surprise now. He expected me to explain myself and DXN and then enjoy and entertain himself by mocking at me. Later, I learned that he joined a money game company, lost all his money, did not pay his staff and then left him, and his office was closed down and taken over by some others. The last time I heard about him was he was selling some cheap clothes beside the roadside for a living. That was an irony in his life. He kept telling people, do not wear cheap clothes and must put up a coat If you call yourself an eager in MLM, but later end up selling cheap clothes at the free market, that may not look like a good earning. Later, when DXN was listed in the main board and stock exchange, one of his friends told me that man said that he has made the most stupid mistake in his life. The friend thought it was the wrong joining of the money game scheme. He said it is not. That he did not join DXN in the initial day. It's the greatest mistake he has committed. I told his friend, it was not a mistake. It is the arrogance that has blinded him. After the ban, I continued to hunt for the eagle. At one time, I went to Butterworth, about 2 hours drive from Alostar, to meet up with 5 eagles. The meeting went well actually. They let me completed with all my talking. After the meeting, we go for supper. Over the noodles and cups of coffee, they told me they were impressed by me, but they could not join DXN. I asked them why. First, I'm younger than all of them. Their car are all better than my car. The company they joined in is 100 times, if not 1,000 times bigger than DXN. They told me, with such a small office and driving such a cheap car, no one will ever join your company. They insist to pay for the supper. This carries a strong message that please do not come back to us. We are not interested. The hunting for eagle fared very badly. Not to say any eagle, even a small sparrow also refused to land in DXN. I stopped hunting for eagle and realized that it was not easy for me to penetrate into the Chinese market. So I started to move to the non-Chinese market, especially the Malay market. How I managed to change the approach, I'll tell you in another story. It is quite interesting and dramatic too. After I moved the market to focus on the Malay market, DXN started to generate some sales. Towards the end of 1993, DXN can generate about 20,000 ringgit per month. This is the sales, not the income. The income is hardly a few thousand. And to sustain the farm, factory and an office, money always not enough. Even I put everything down to bare minimum. Finally, DXN stepped into 1994, and in June, my wife told me a bad news. There was only 4,000 ringgit left in the bank account. DXN could run out of money soon. This was the second time in my life the desperation crept in. The first one after I graduated from India. I remember it well. I transit one night in Bangkok. I can soak myself in a bathtub with warm water. I felt very good. Then I told myself, now I have graduated. I could find a job. Later build a small house for me and my family. Use a small car. Manage a simple life is okay. I am a minimalist. Bare-bones simplicity in living, never a problem for me. Since I am not demanding, I should have an easy and simple life. That time I also wish to become a mathematician. I love physics and mathematics. During my free time, I could study the quantum physics and Einstein's relativity theory, and maybe I could work on the mathematics too. After all, my professor say an engineer is a combination of mathematician and practical scientist. But not even 3 months into the job, my dreams shattered into pieces. The life of an engineer was not easy at all. In future, I will tell you more of the stories. My father was a small-time contractor. At time, the economy was not good. Many of his clients did not pay him well, and his business collapsed too. The financial burden all landed on me. The salary always not enough. Many engineers at such situation may start to get some commission from the contractors because all the payment has to be certified by the engineer. When we practice shunya, there are 5 shall not. First, do no harm. Second, do not take what is not belong to you. Third, do not disrupt the harmony of a family and society. First, making no false claim. Fifth, and lastly, do not intoxicate yourself. These are the basic 5 principles to become a normal human being, and I try my very best to stick to it. The second law stated that we shall not take what is not belong to us. I never ask for commission from any contractor. And I also never find trouble with them. Instead, I try to help them as much as possible, solving many technical issues at the sites and making computer programs so that they can prepare their claim easily. Many of them become my good friends. So, my dream to become a simple person, live a simple life, did not work. The real life is always not what we expected at all. So that was the first problem I am facing in my life. After I started DXN, I also stopped doing any other business. So my salary together with that of my wife are the only two sources of money. Even that, the salary can hardly cover all expenses. Me and my wife think that maybe it's wise to stop DXN for a while. Later, when the situation improves, then could continue again. You remember the eager that made me wait for 2 hours in his office? Actually, the 2 hours was not a total loss. He has one downline. Came to visit him that day and saw me sit like an idiot for so long and come over to have some chit-chat with me. He was a friend of my sister, so he knew me because of her. Later, he also joined the eager to jump ship into money game, and apparently it was a wrong ship. He lost all his money too. The eager ended up selling genetic cloth at flea market, and he opened up a small noodle shop to sell noodle with a very funny name, Damn Hot Fish Head Rice Noodles. Just a few blocks from the house of my father-in-law, and he knew my wife too. After disclosed the bad finance news to me, my wife must have found me pale in the face. Then he proposed, why don't we go and eat that damn hot rice noodles, run by an ex-MLM leader, aka the eager. Maybe the hot noodle can bring back some life to my face. When we were at the noodle shop, the man recognized me and greeted me warmly. I ordered the rice noodles. It was the name it claimed, extremely hot and spicy. I am sweating all over while eating it. The time was late afternoon, around 5 p.m. Not yet the time for dinner, so not many customers went to the shop. And he came over to chit-chat with me and asked me how was the doing of DXN. I told him things were bad. I planned to close down for a while. Then he said something that changed my life and the future of DXN too. He told me, look, Tim, when you are an MLM man, you always an MLM man. You should not stop. Once you stop, it is over. You will not be able to go back again. Then he pointed to himself and said, look at me, I stopped. This is the end. No way I can go back to MLM again. His words were like the lightning that shocked and whooped through me. He even encouraged me, saying that your business already started. The products also started to move into the market. He knew I worked day and night to establish the company. He told me, focus on my energy, push forward. There's no return now. After that, some customer came and he had to serve them. I saw him sweating and focused in making the noodles. He was a good noodle man. Later, his shop became famous and quite a lot of people come here to try out his damn hot noodles. That's what probably the most worthwhile noodle I have taken in my life. That time it was also near to a public holiday. I told my wife, why not we go to the peak of Gunung Jerai, the highest peak in Kedah State, near to Alostar with only 1 hour drive. Can oversee the paddy fields and the night is cool and pleasing, where government runs some chalet at very affordable price. So we spent the night at the top of Gunung Jerai, or Mount Jerai in English. The evening was cool and pleasing. We sit at some stone bench that overlooked the paddy field and some small town along the main trunk road. We sit at some stone bench that overlooking the paddy fields and some small town along the main road. I knew the paddy fields well. It is under my supervision in Mada. That night was a beautiful night. The lamp of the small town and some houses are flickering softly. The chirping of the insects were very soothing. We sit there for quite some time without talking much. Then I told my wife, dear, I'm going to resign from Mada. She kept quiet for a while. It may not come as a surprise to her, as she knows that the job exerts too much pressure on me. And it was a matter of time I resigned from the job. After pondering for some time, he asked me the practical question. Now DXN was at the worst moment. What if the company ran out of funds and collapsed, and you left with no job? I told her, I have no worry about the job. A few contractors that their contract was supervised by me and told me that in future if I need a job, they could take me in immediately. I told my wife, I am a technocrat now. I may lost all my money, but the skill and the knowledge were always with me. I am a good engineer. I have no worry about getting a job. You see, I never take money from the contractor. And it is at this most critical moment of my life, give me the strength to go forwards. Because I know they can employ me if I need a job. I knew a few engineers who took commission from the contractors. Since the money came easily, they always spend more than what they get, and pension poor, full of debt. The night remained sweet and pleasant. I did not answer the most important part of the question posed by my wife. What if DXN ran out of money and collapsed? It was the time that I told my wife about the continuous shooter. Shoot 100 times, and at least one shoot will hit the target. If I fail, I shall try again. Fail, then try again. Keep trying. I told my wife, there can be many failures, but we just need one success. One. Just one. After we came down from the peak, the next day I tendered my resignation. When you work in a government, if you tender 3-month notice for resignation, then you do not need to pay any compensation. If you tender 1 month resignation, you have to pay 1 month's salary. When towards the end of June, the condition of the company turned from bad to worst, and I do not think the company can last till September, the last day of my resignation notice. So in July, I submitted a resignation letter again, this time 1 month notice. I am the only engineer that submitted resignation twice in the history of MADA. The resignation sent shockwave throughout MADA, and many came to me and tried to persuade me not to resign. But my decision was final. Sayonara to engineering. When I worked in MADA, not all the bosses were harsh and suppressive. My immediate boss, Mr. Lok, was a kind-hearted boss. When he received the news that I tendered my resignation, he asked me to meet him. And in rare occasion, he ordered coffee in his room. I never saw him treat people coffee in the room. So when he served me coffee, I knew he must have something important to tell me. He was a bit apologetic and said to me, "Look, Lim, sometimes I could not control my temper and saying harsh words. I just heard that you tendered your resignation. May I know, have I said something that offends you? Or anything here that makes you unhappy?" I immediately sensed that he thought I tendered resignation due to anger, or not happy with the organization, or worse, maybe I'm not happy with him. This was the quality of a good boss. Always think of the feeling of the subordinate. His good intention make me remember till this day. Immediately I told him I am tired of engineering. He was a good boss and I liked him very much. There was nothing wrong from him that made me unhappy. As a kind elder, he did ask me to consider my resignation carefully and would do anything in his capacity to help me if I needed. I bid thank you to him and told him I want a new career. The day of engineering was over for me. So finally, I'm a free man now. Free like a bird, could fly to anywhere that I wish now. But there were two immediate problems at the time. That I'm owing MADA for the housing loan, which I had to settle in 3 months' time. Another problem was my bank account was also very free though, free of any money now. When I served as government engineer, I could loan the housing loan once in a lifetime. Maximum loan is 120,000 ringgit with a very low interest rate, half of that of the normal loan from the bank. Most engineers would borrow close to the maximum loan as the interest rate was low and they take it as a gain. But I did not think it that way. If I borrow to the maximum, after the monthly deduction for the payment of loan, I may not have any money left to support the running of DXN. So I only borrowed 60,000 and buy a cheap terrace house at the outskirts of Arostar, where the pricing of the house are cheaper. Many of my engineer friends say this was stupid, as I did not maximize the gain in the interest. But I told them, for any loan, you still have to pay back the loan, whether with or without interest. When I loan it in low figure, in any eventuality, it will be easier for me to settle the loan. I bought the house for 57,000, considered as one of the cheapest for a 2-story terrace house. With the extra 3,000 in the loan, I managed to put in some furniture in the house. By the time I resigned, the prices of houses were started to trend up, and my house was valued at 80,000 then. So I owe MADA around 40,000, and it was only half the price of the value. I thought it could get the loan from the bank easily. But my application were rejected by all the banks. Lastly, I went to see one of the bank manager, who was my classmate. I asked him why the loan was rejected. He said, "Look, Lim, now you are jobless. Bank wouldn't loan you money, because you have no stable income. I told him I'm not jobless, and DXN pay me 6,000 per month. I did have a salary, but he said that was your own company, and the salary was just on paper. And worse, somehow you know that I did not have any more money in the bank. Dealing with the banks always annoyed me. When I need the money most, they never lend me money. Later, when I have established the company and they don't need any loan anymore, and they keep on contacting me to get a loan from them. My wife must know that I'm in bad shape. Quietly, he talked to his father, and who agreed to loan me 40,000 to settle the housing loan. I told my wife we should treat the loan as the bank loan, pay money installment with interest. Eventually, I pay back all the money with interest. My father-in-law told my wife, I'm the only one in the family actually pay back the money, and with interest some more. The rest of the family members, after borrowing the money, never pay back to him. That solved the first major problem of housing loans. Then the immediate problems were no more money in the bank. I remember the evening after vaccinations, I sat in the office with my wife, tried to look through the bank account. There was nothing to look. No more money in the account. Then I received a call. It was from one of the contractors. Then I have supervised some of his contracts in Mada. He tried to confirm with me as he heard the news that I just resigned. I told him yes. Then he said he would send his daughter to my office to buy some products for me. After some time, his daughter arrived, a fair and good-looking young lady. At first, I had some casual chit-chat. He just completed his secondary schooling and going to Kuala Lumpur for tertiary education, and he would take up interior design. He told me he would like to be a design artist. Then he opened the bag and took out a stack of money and put it on the table and told me, my father would like to order the product from you. Totally worth is 6,000 ringgit. I was taken aback. That was a huge sum of money. And I asked her, there was a lot of products. What were they going to do with so many products? He told me they have a big, huge family and a lot of staff. There was no problem in consuming all these products. And more important, her father told her not to come home if I did not accept the money and sell the products to her. This was the first time I got some money from a contractor, and there was not a bribe or illegal deal. As I'm no longer an engineer, there was no way I could help him now. And I exchanged it with goods. I told myself, it was a sales, not a bribe. I accepted the money and packaged the products to her. That was the single most high-value purchase for DXN till then, and it did come in the right time, like a timely rain after a long drought. The daughter of the contractor chatting with me about interior design and asked whether she could be a good artist and designer. I assured her, she's neat, beautiful, and with a pair of intense and sparkling eyes. He would become an artist for sure. Actually, that night, he seemed like the most beautiful lady in the world, except my wife, of course. After this, a few contractors and my friends did come and buy products from me. As I am a disciplined engineer, I never accept commission from any contractor. They sure know that I need money after my resignation. Sometimes, when a person extended his hand during the time of need, then we know he was the true friend. I am thinking, karma does work in a positive way. Even though I did not take any money from the contractor, at the end of the day, I gain more than any engineer that take the commission. I dare to design because I know some of the contractors will take me in immediately if I need a job. Then out of my expectation, at the time of difficulty, some of them purchase the products to support me. So finally, the DXN was running and kicking. In the next coffee talk, I will tell you how DXN developed the market in Malaysia. See you then. Bye-bye.